What's going on, everyone? I'm back with another YouTube video that I haven't made one in quite a number of years, but instead of doing a stream for this one, I wanted to do kind of just a video because I figured it would work a little better just in case I have to cut some parts out. It's kind of hard to do that as a stream, but what I have for you today is a God of War playthrough. I want to do this on the hard difficulty, and I have a little twist. It's being streamed from a PS2. I wanted to play, well, eventually, see what kind of time I have. I wanted to play through all the God of War games and maybe some other games, whatever it ends up being, on their original hardware that they came out. So for the first two God of Wars, it'll be the PS2 version. For God of War 3, it would be the PS3, and so on. And maybe the PSP versions if I'm daring and want to fork out the money for a PSP AV cable connector. It should work. The system that I have going right now, because the PS2 was before the time of streaming and almost before the time of internet for that matter, what I have is the composite cables from a component cable plugged into an HDMI converter, which is then plugged into an HDMI splitter, which outputs to my TV, and also outputting to a USB capture card that I have plugged into my MacBook. And because the microphones on the iPhone and the AirPods are utter trash, I'm using the lightning wired headphone microphone, so I'll have to link those up in iMovie a little later and make sure that they're all synced up here. But for now, it should be working. It is recording on my MacBook, yes, and we have the original God of War, and it looks pretty terrible on my screen. Probably doesn't look the best on the YouTube video either, but that's okay. We're not going for perfection, we're just going for the authentic experience that was the original God of War and what it would have been like had YouTube, well, I guess YouTube was around in 2005, but had YouTube been as popular in 2005 as it was now. So we're going to start a new game, and we're going to go with hard mode. I'm not going to do very hard because I'm not a masochist, but we'll do Spartan for hard.
The gods of Olympus have a band.
I should have turned on widescreen because he looks very swole and very wide. But I'll turn that on after the cutscene.
Now there is no hope.
And Kratos cast himself from the highest mountain in all of Greece. After 10 years of suffering, 10 years of endless nightmares, it would finally come to an end. Death would be his escape from madness.
I love the God of War series of games. I loved the original two. I played them
But it had not always been this way.
I played them on my PlayStation Vita originally, because I was just looking for decent Vita games at the time, and this was one of those. The port got a lot of flack, but I mean, it is what it is. Portable gaming wasn't quite as powerful as it is now back then, so let's get her going. I'm hoping the button pressing is not as apparent in the video as it's kind of right next to the microphone, but it's all I've got right now because I don't have a USB microphone. I have played all of these before. I haven't played any of them on hard. I did start playing God of War, the PSP one, the Chains of Olympus one, on hard mode. I tried that one. Haven't defeated it yet, but I haven't beat it yet, and I think I also started God of War 3, and that one's pretty decent. But these older games here on the harder difficulties, promised to be pretty punishing just because games, for whatever reason, back in the day were just very unforgiving. I feel like God of War was one exception, because it was kind of in that middle range of unforgiving, but I seem to be doing okay so far. But then again, I have played these games a decent amount, so I do have some skill coming into this. I'm not coming in cold feet and just trying the hardest mode and not knowing any of the controls, so that does help for some things. But looks like we cleared the first wave out there, so that's R2. I've forgotten this first game. It was, oh yeah, enable widescreen. There we go. That should, yeah, sure, why not? I'll take a little getting used to. I'm telling you, looking at it at this TV screen, it's just a blurry mess, because the game was meant for CRTs, and I do have the component cables, like I said, for the PS2. The problem is that my adapter, to get it to work with OBS and everything, I need to use my HDMI adapter, which is only for composite cables. So I can use the yellow, red, and white cables from the PS2 on it, but it just outputs as composite cables. It doesn't output at 480p, I guess, that would have been through the composite or the component output, which is a little disappointing because I know it wasn't going to look perfect anyway, and the point is to get a kind of authentic experience, what it would have been like in 2005. But for me, at least, viewing it on the TV, because I'm not viewing it on a dinky little, like, maybe 40-inch CRT. I'm looking at it at a like 55-inch 1080p screen, and it's blowing up the image, and the HDMI box, the HDMI converter isn't an upscaler, it's a converter, which means the picture coming out of it is exactly how it's coming out of the PS2. But, you know, that's fine. Quick time events. I remember this one's just triangle, triangle, triangle. Yeah? For the first one. And one more triangle. I hope this all works out properly. I haven't made a YouTube video in quite some time, so I'm a little rusty on the concept, but I have done streams, but streaming has been made way easier thanks to modern technology, and I usually, if I'm doing a stream, it's usually Battlefront 2 or something like that. It's with a PS4, and the PS4 just has that kind of software built into it, which is very nice. PS2 barely had an Ethernet port on it, and I'm running this off a PS2 Slim because that's just all I own. And I even remember the fat PS2 models actually had some troubles running the original God of War. But in any case, I just have the PS2 Slim because that's just what I own. That's just what I have. But the original one didn't even have an Ethernet port on it by default. It had a, well, it just didn't. You needed the back back adapter that connected in the hard drive bay, and it would give you either Ethernet or it would give you a modem port. Okay, I am turning the hints off because I don't need them right now. You can't turn hints off. Okay, that's gonna be annoying. How about soften? Does that help my case? Turning that off. I'm gonna leave that off for now. Just because it might, if the image was already quite soft. But, harpies, these things are so annoying. Especially in the third game, they will just rip you apart. But, so they do the dive bombing thing. I don't think they do that in this game, or at this part of the game anyway. So I need to annihilate them here. How many of these things do I need to kill? Like, holy crap. Don't remember. Do they just stop spawning in, or do they leave? That one's... Okay, I guess I killed the ones I needed. Ooh. Okay. Oh yeah, this game was... You need to spam circle. I don't know why. They made the remaster on the PS3 and the PS Vita. But for this version, hitting circle, you need to spam the crap out of that button. Otherwise, you just won't get it. And these parts aren't bad, but later on when you fight the centaur things, they are awful. This doesn't appear to be too bad, though. I'm just gonna, yeah, that's unblockable. That hurts, too. Alright, a lot of this game, when you're in the harder difficulties, is patience. Because I know there's a bunch of different combos that you can do and everything, and they do help you in different scenarios, but you just need to wait for your openings and then do them. You can't just go trigger happy with all your combos and then expect them to work, because it locks you. That's the thing about these games, and even I think the Souls types of games as well, they lock you in animations, and those can be deadly. So, but for this game at least, the quick attacks, the normal, just quick attacks, okay, I was dodging that one. The normal quick attacks are pretty, you can just kind of roll out of them if you need to, or block. That wasn't unblockable, but you can just kind of block and roll out of the way when you need to. But if you're in an animation, especially when you unlock the combos later in the game, when you upgrade the blades, they can really bite you in the ass. But I'm sure that's very loud in the mic, and there's nothing I can do about that. It is better. I said I wanted to do this for authenticity reasons, just for playing the PS2 version and, you know, experiencing all the quirks and bugs that this version would have come with. But the PS3 remasters, I mean, there's a whole challenge with trying to stream PS3 games and everything without modding your console. I don't really want to mod my console. I do have a second one. If I really want to mod it, I could just do that one, but my main one, my 80 gig fat PS3, I just kind of want to keep as is, keep it pretty stock. But it has signal protection or something like that, HDCP something. I'm not sure. And what that does is it prevents you from essentially capturing the video. Like on a lot of standard capture cards, you just can't capture the video signal from it. It just won't allow that. I don't think that's a problem with the capture card that I have. It's pretty low end. There's not really much going on with it. And for a PS2 game like this, where it's barely outputting a video signal, 480i, whatever you want to call it, I think it's 480i. It's not a problem. I'm not looking for clarity, and I think it thinks it's receiving a 1080p signal because that's just what the converter is outputting as, which means it's outputting at a 30 frame refresh rate. So what I might do, if I have time for later episodes, I wonder if I switch either, okay, alright, whoops. I wonder if I switch the converter resolution to 720p, if that would allow me to stream it at 60 frames, because I'm pretty sure the capture card that I have doesn't do 1080p at 30 for some reason. Like I said, it's a really cheap, dinky little capture card, and I just needed something that would work with my MacBook, and I'm not forking out hundreds of dollars for a capture card because I know I'm not going to be doing this that often or that professionally. I just kind of wanted to do this for fun. This is part of my time capsule type streams, except this is just a video that I wanted to do, which is basically, if you don't know what the time capsule streams are, it's just something you can come back and look at in the future, years in the future, and just see kind of like what life was at the time or what might have been going on. They're usually fun to do with friends. I have my best friend and my fiance that we usually play with, and you know, you just talk about whatever, you create whatever kind of memories, and it's usually fun. I mean, these are fun too, to kind of just watch and see whatever I was doing at the time. So there's a cutscene coming up here, but try not to talk during the cutscenes if other people are talking.
It's you! The visions, they were real! The gods came to me, told me their champion would come and rescue us from the Hydra.
They came to that guy, that one guy in particular. What was so special about that guy?
These creatures, they came from nowhere. The ships are all destroyed. All hope is lost, Spartan.
God's
Even
messenger.
for you.
But, what was I saying? Oh yeah, time capsule streams. So, they're just kind of fun to do, and I just kind of wanted to do something like the retro kind of thing where, just to see if it's possible. I mean, this is, I just got shot. This is so impractical, like, you'd never do this, ever. If I wasn't doing this, I'd probably either do it out of the PS3 or just emulate the game on my MacBook, because I'm pretty sure Apple Silicon can emulate a lot of different things. I know it can do PS3. I do have a PS3. I'm sorry, I need some health. I know it, the PS3 emulators on it is pretty good. Okay. The RC PS3, and it works pretty well for some games. Like, obviously, not all games have been ported onto it quite yet. Okay. This part is so tedious. But not all games work on it quite yet, but there is an active community doing that, so I'm looking forward to it, see what comes in the future. But like I said, I would probably just I think there's an RC PS2 or something along those lines that exists. I would probably just do that and rip the ROM off the DVD that I have, because, you know, piracy is bad and oh. Alright, that took way longer than it should have. No. Come on. God, I always hated this part. I don't know why. I just could not. You get like 4 hits with the box, and that's it. And then you gotta go all the way back, and the arrows are so randomized. Alright, enough of that. Moving on. Despite looking like crap, this game still holds up pretty well, even in 2023, the current year. Find the key, she says. Why are they locked? Why is there a lock on the inside? I don't know. Why can't they unlock it from the inside? I don't know. But moving on. Oh yes, these climbing sections. They got better as the games went on, but this one's kind of painful because it's very just directional. In the later games, you get like a swooshy motion, or so you don't need to aim kind of just there. You can, it's kind of like that, but it's not a heavy attack, because these take forever and appear to do no damage at all. But you can't, you can jump up and climb and stuff, but okay, this is dangerous. Okay, that worked. Alright, perfect. A few more. But this is the strategy here. Just spam square and hope for the best. Oh shit, I didn't mean to do that, but okay, that grabbing move is pretty overpowered. So, just, no, shoot. Uh-oh, danger. Yeah, if they're not right beside you, then it's not good. Guy is crawling so fast, oh my god. Okay. Oh shoot. Alright, got past the netting part. These guys do a lot of damage on those nets on hard mode, it would seem. So I'm going for this chest. I think the key strategy for this playthrough is to just get every single chest that I can, because I know, at least in normal mode, I don't see why this would be any different on hard mode. In normal mode, you are able, if you get pretty much every chest, maybe I might have missed like one or two, but they might not all both have been XP chests. You can get enough XP to level up all of your weapons and magic by the very end of the game when you're fighting yourself. So that's the strategy I think for this playthrough, is to just get as much as you can and use skill. Skill is another big part, but the blades are my main focus right now. I gotta level those up, and then I'll level up Poseidon's Rage. That's the second one. I found that it works best at the end of the game, as opposed to Hades, because Hades is fine, does a lot of damage, but it costs so much magic, whereas Poseidon's Rage does pretty equal amounts of damage, maybe a little less, but it doesn't use nearly as much magic, so you can use it a lot more.
But you will need assistance. You will need the power.
I always wondered why Poseidon gave you lightning and not some kind of water power, because Zeus also gives you a lightning power. I don't know, maybe I'm missing something from Greek mythology. That's probably the case. I still just find it ironic that in this game the gods pretty much power you up, whereas in every other game they hate you, but they still give you half the powers that you have anyway for those games, which is, I mean, kind of an oversight on their part, but whatever. I'm hoping I don't die during this, because I don't have a lot of health, I'm just now noticing. I'll give you a health chest till after this room. These guys are pretty pushover. Plus I have magic now. But I think we're good. Nice. Moving on. I would have loved to have this kind of stuff when I was a kid, because I really wanted to do YouTube when I was like 12, 13 years old. And I would sit downstairs in my basement, because that's where we had moved the Wii at the time. And I don't know, I remember playing Lego Star Wars 3, and I would just like talk to myself as if I was streaming or making a video or something on like a walkthrough of some of the levels. And I knew that from that day forward, I'm like, alright, I want to make a YouTube account, convince mom and dad to let me have a YouTube account, because, you know, you had to be 13 at the time, and people cared more about that back then. They don't really care about that so much now, you know, you just kind of fake your age and whatever. But now, yeah, for a few years now, my birth year has been probably the year that people are using to fake their age now, which is sad. But you know, and I also just didn't have any technology that would have allowed me to do this kind of thing. Back then I didn't have a computer of my own. I don't even think I had any kind of like personal device. I know I got an iPod a little later. My first iPod was the iPod 5, and I thought that was pretty cool, but Powerhouse it was not, and unfortunately when you need to stream or make videos, you need some kind of power and also RAM. The iPod 5 had like half a gig of RAM, I think, so it was not the greatest, and also the battery was just atrocious on it, so even if you managed to get some kind of recording session going, you had to either be plugged into power or just get it all done in a few minutes, because that's how long the iPod battery would last when doing all that. But I got some videos out. If you go on my channel, the earlier videos I did were all done on my iPod with some Sketchtastic screen recording software, and it worked. It was decent. It just didn't do audio very well because it just used the iPod's microphone, so any in-game audio would have to be played through the iPod speaker, which was located right next to the microphone and was the tiniest thing on the planet. But it was fine for what it was, you know. Playing Minecraft Pocket Edition at the time that's all anyone was doing back then, right? You didn't have life you had to worry about, you didn't have really school you had to worry about. All you had was Minecraft. And that's what I did, and I made 2-minute, really craptastically sounding YouTube videos on it. But this kind of thing would have been insane back then. Could have captured the Wii, could have maybe captured the Wii U, because that's what we had after. We didn't have PlayStation stuff, but you know, I have adult money now and can buy the things that I missed out on when I was a kid, if they're reasonably affordable, because some of this stuff is just outrageously expensive now. But yeah, I think a little later I got a laptop that was probably not any more powerful than the iPod, but it ran Windows, so I was able to make different types of YouTube videos with that thing, and also used a Sketchtastic screen recorder for it. And it worked for what it was, though. It had a 10-minute recording limit, and I'm sure I probably could have used OBS back then as well, because OBS has been around for years now, but I'm sure I could have used that, and it probably would have looked way better, and I would have had definitely a longer recording time with it, because that was the problem. Also, the audio just wasn't great on there either, and the frame rate was atrocious, just because, you know, 64 megs of VRAM is nothing to write home about. But, you know, it did what it had to. And now I have some free time now. And I can record videos with what I have. I bet in 2005 when this game came out, this boss fight was just amazing. Just the scale of it. This guy, even in some modern video games, I mean, I know, you know, graphics and processing power and everything I got crushed by. I've just gone through the roof compared to what we had what was out at the time of this game. But even this, the sense of scale is pretty good. Like, you know, he's moving everywhere, his head's moving, there's smoke effects, there's this really weird motion blur effect. You just don't have that in modern games. This, I don't know what you call it, but even the hack and slash genre is kind of dead. If not, there are only a few random games that might have it, but they don't do it as well as the original God of War does, in my opinion, or even just pretty much any of the pre-2018 God of War games, because they were all pretty much the same formula, just a new coat of paint, some new moves, some new weapons, new stories. I mean, God of War 3 got a huge coat of paint, and even Ascension also got an even shinier coat of paint compared to God of War 3, which was a pretty big leap. But even for this game, and God of War 2, which I'm assuming these two were done pretty similarly, just because of the time of their release. Oh, I got him. My God of War 2 copy has a second disc in it, which has the making of the game footage essentially on it. It's like a little movie almost. I thought it was a game because I saw on the back of the box that, oh, you know, disc 2 includes deleted levels and everything. So I'm like, oh, you get to play those deleted levels, but no, it was just a video clip featuring them. But you got to watch the making of, I haven't watched the whole DVD because there's just a menu item that lets you play I'm just guessing it's all the little kind of video clips all in one, like the making of the whole game essentially. But I watched how they made the in-game cinematics, whether it was the pre-rendered or the in-game cutscenes, in-game engine stuff. But it just still amazes me that these types of games were made on Windows XP. I mean, you think of Windows XP now, I still love it. It's one of my favorite operating systems for Windows. It's just very iconic, very nostalgic. But you think of it in modern time, you don't think of it as really anything because it can't even connect to the internet. You just can't get a web browser on it that's secure or even remotely functional, just because of modern security standards and everything for the internet. But this game and God of War 2, the whole game was made within Windows XP, which still astonishes me. And I mean, I'm not really that old at all, so I mean, I didn't come from the time of pre-internet, pre-computers and everything. Like, I'm sure if you had that kind of viewpoint of what life was like before that kind of stuff, it would seem more like a leap, and it was. I'm not discounting the fact that it wasn't. I'm just saying, for me personally, I just don't have that perspective. That's a shame. We got the key. The key of the captain. Not the captain's key. We don't want, I forget, I'm going into English, I forget when you turn something into an apostrophe with a short term, captain's contraction or something, I don't know. No, key of the captain. I don't need that health just because I'm just that good at the game. Gorgon Eye, though. Was there no... I guess there wasn't a magic chest or a phoenix feather chest anywhere here, which is fine. Like I said, I probably don't know where every single chest in this game is, but I do know where a majority of them are, so I'll try and collect those. Oh, I really wish it would just keep locked on that save file so I don't accidentally save over that first one and erase everything that I did on there. Yeah, I enjoy doing these types of YouTube videos. They just don't really have structure to them. There's no real point, I guess, in doing them. It's just play a game you enjoy, talk about whatever there is to talk about at the time, and come back days, months, years later and just experience what the time was like. Just see what things, how things were. See what life was like. I'm getting my ass handed to me here. I'm Misheading combos. Okay, alright. I get him. No, you're still alive. But, come on. I hate having using frickin' magic on these guys. These one tiny little guys. I get him. Your health. Beautiful. It's alright. I was gonna use the health chest up there anyway. I'm not sure why I had to kill that guy. Key of the captain. Open, says Kratos. Telling me that lady was screaming right at that door and then got presumably dragged all the way back here. It's a very long hallway for... Boom. I will say though, these in-game or these pre-rendered cutscenes still look pretty good today. They look astonishing for 2005. You gotta think that was 18 years ago.
Victims lay before him, a reminder of his own past, a past he could never escape. His only solace was the sea, endlessly sailing from one harbor.
Hats off to the art directing team for this game. I mean, they already received tons of awards, but hats off anyway.
For no matter how much
I wonder if I
wine
have to censor
consumed or
this
how
part.
many
I'm sure my
women he
channel's
put to
small
bed,
enough I probably don't have to.
nothing on earth could rid him of the horrors that plagued his mind.
Who hasn't seen a little titty in their day?
Athena! 10 years, Athena. I have faithfully served the gods for 10 years. When will you relieve me of these nightmares?
We request one final task of you, Kratos. Your greatest challenge awaits in Athens, where even now my brother Ares lays siege as we speak. Athens is on the verge of destruction. It is the will of Ares my great city fall. Zeus has forbidden the gods from waging war on each other. That is why it must be you, Kratos. Only a mortal trained by a god has a chance at defeating Ares.
And if I am able to do this, to kill a god, then the visions, they will end?
Complete this final task, and the past that consumes you will be forgiven. Have faith, Kratos. The gods do not forget those who come to their aid.
Leaving the rotting carcass of the Hydra behind, Kratos set sail once more. His greatest challenge and freedom from his growing madness lay before him in the ancient city of Athens.
See, now that's the one thing I never understood about this first game. Okay, alright. Now, you see, the thing about this part is you need XP. You need it to beat the game. You need points to do well. This part does that. So, you know, in the name of XP... Look at that, points. See, we needed them to upgrade the blades. And you know what? You get points for doing it a second time. Alright, we have our points. We have enough. First time I played this, I completely glossed over this. No matter how many women I find, they all remind me of her. Hear my prayers, Athena. When will these visions end? Yeah, that's the first mention of the wife, I guess, we get in the game. But yeah, we have blades of upgrading chaos. Just trying to get every amount of points I can, even though those things only give you like 1 point. Oh, I should upgrade my blades. 1500. I swear in the newer God of War games, you accumulate XP way quicker. Because this one, it just seems to take forever, but then once you get later in the game, the chests just give you insane amounts of XP, and the Ares fight. It was a speed running tactic you could have done there. But I'm not going to do that because, like I said, I'm not a masochist and don't really want to swim all the way up. Alright. So I got the air move thing with these guys can be deadly. Also love how it tells you to block right now. This move. I mean, it's fine. It's not my go-to for anything. Like, the moves that I find useful, you don't really get until later on in the game. But, you get some, what is it, counter-attacks as well when you get your parry. Later God of War games, like in this one, it's kind of just things like, oh, you know, once you upgrade your blades, you get these powers, but in later games, they actually incorporated those into the story. Like, oh, you know, you gain the ability to parry with the Golden Fleece, this power or something or another. Like, this game is just, oh, you know, upgrade the blades to level whatever, and you just magically know how to counterattack now. So, congratulations. But counterattack is, in my opinion, in this game, a little better than the last, or the, at least God of War 2. I think God of War 3 got improved a bit. But in God of War 2, it's just kind of a slam into the ground. You can't really control the direction of it or control the power of it or anything. But in this one, you get some range to it. You got some, I guess, 360-ness to it. Alright. Took those guys out pretty well. Nothing on this side of the wall, I don't think. There's a barrel. There's another 2 barrels. There's a deck. I'm not really sure why that's there. Through here. Swim. I can't see where the water ends and where the rock begins. It's all the same, I didn't get the full combo. Crap. Okay, these guys have an attack that isn't a tell. It's not that flashy blue one that they do. Ooh. I wonder how long it'll take this video to upload, because I'm just now remembering that back when I would have made my first YouTube videos, our internet speed here at home was just awful. Like, it was like 5 or 10 megabits down and not even a megabit up. And for uploading videos, and even on the iPod 5, I mean, I know the videos, especially when recorded with the camera, it said 1080p. They weren't 1080p. But the screen recorder, I think, actually recorded at the iPod's native resolution, and that being a Retina screen was actually pretty decent for the time. Those videos could be anywhere between 500 megs to like 2-3 gigs, and when you got a 3 gigabyte video, you had to reserve like internet for the next 2 days to actually get it to upload, because under a meg and the 1 megabit or under a megabit per second is nothing. And that was almost 10 years ago, so in today's day and age, that's unacceptable. That guy got decimated. It's alright though. You gotta use these guys strategically because they can give you health. So, if you know that there's a couple of these guys coming up, you don't need to waste a health chest because they give a moderate amount of health if you don't take a bunch of damage. Okay, kind of went down easy. These things, pressing rapidly is an understatement. You need like those massage gun things to put on here. But That's not that bad. Okay, maybe when I played it the first time, maybe there was something wrong. Maybe my controller just wasn't plugged in properly, but like, I had to spam the crap out of that button. But like I was saying, if you know that there's a couple of these guys coming up, and you don't want to waste a health chest, just use these guys, and that way if you really get your ass handed to you later on and you still have access to the chest before, you can just come back and get full health, which is handy. I'm sure there's better strategies to but you know, yeah, why not? I'll do it to this guy. I don't need help, but whatever. Don't want to cramp my hand here. Remember also during this part, I just left the game sitting for a while, and I guess the disc just kind of gave up spinning, and right around this corner, it just popped up with a loading icon, and it just sat there forever. And the game just didn't come back, so I had to reset the PS2 and get that all going. Okay, get around here. Is there a secret chest around here? There's one around the far corner up there, I know that.
Ares has brought these beasts to Athens. Without help, the city will fall.
Gates destroyed! You'll have to find another way.
You could just like climb up and get through the middle part of the gate, but I guess not. Ooh, the Cyclops. Forgot about the Cyclops. It's alright, you can cheese the Cyclop fights pretty much if you just keep doing this. Square, square, triangle. They just can't get close enough to you. And then that happens, and then they're dead. I don't know if that was the intention when they made them, but that's one way to kill them. And it's pretty easy. But sometimes they get in an animation like that, and then if you're not expecting the animation, they'll just come right at you, and then you're stuck in an animation, and then they just end you. Because these guys can do a lot of damage, but yeah, I mean, if you just do that over and over and over again. You saw I selected hard mode at the beginning of this video. It does not matter. They will go, they will go down like that every time. These guys, at least. I know there's different versions of these guys later on in the game, and even in God of War 2, I don't think this strategy works nearly as well. That's gonna hurt. No. Maybe not. Quickest, without using magic, the quickest way to defeat 3 Cyclops. They give a pretty decent amount of XP too. It's a shame there wasn't more of them. Oh, there's a chest back here, giving little ones. There's a chest back there that we'll get to eventually. Yeah, there's so many ways to just bypass all of this, but I'm not going to do that. But we need to get up there eventually. So I don't think there were any other chests down here that I need. So we'll move on here. Oh, there was a loading. Ah yes, the Medusa fight. There is one thing you can do in the Medusa fight that gives you unlimited magic. It's a bug where you just clip through the wall. When you take off her head, and because the game, it's one of the only times the game grants you unlimited magic, or regenerative magic I should say, and if you clip through the wall and get past the trigger, it doesn't know that you've left the area, so it just thinks that you're there the whole time, and it will just keep refilling your magic. I'm not gonna do that because I don't want to cheese it like that. I just kind of want this to be a genuine playthrough as much as possible. There's a couple secret chests in this room. But I've seen some people also, especially when Ragnarok was coming out. Oh wait, I think you can get one from here. Right? Yes. They'd want to play these older games, and they would play them through the PS5 because the PS Plus catalog, or whatever it's called now, it used to be called PS Now, but they have the original 2 God of War games on there, and which is fine, but the problem is that with that streaming service, you can only download PS2, PS1, and PSP games, I believe, and you know, whatever PS4 games, PS5 games they've added to it, but you can't download PS3 games because, I don't know, emulation is hard, I suppose, for the PS3. I mean, I know it was different for the PS4. The PS4 CPU was just not great even when it came out, and emulating such a different hardware architecture, because for emulation you need hardware that is significantly more powerful than the original hardware that you're trying to emulate, and the PS4 was just not there. But for the PS5, like, it's very close to a PC, and PCs can run PS3 games, and Sony, being the creators of the console, I feel like they could work their magic. But nevertheless, the problem with this is that the PS5 catalog, PS Plus catalog game, oh, that was something, uses the PS3 remaster versions of the game. So, I mean, yeah, you get 1080p. They probably didn't want to put, you know, these games on there where 480p was your max. But still. But that forces you to stream it only, and especially for this kind of game, where precision is key and any kind of latency will kill you, it's just not a good match for cloud gaming. Cloud gaming is there for some services, like xCloud, I've heard, is really good. And I don't know why PS Now was always just such a crappy streaming service when it came to latency and everything like that. But and then I'm pretty sure they just rebranded it as PS Plus, whatever it is currently. And it's just really sad because there's a lot of cool games that you can play on there that are just legitimately stuck on like PS2 consoles, PS3 consoles, that you need the actual hardware to play them. But they're just, I don't know. PS Now was never good, even when it came out originally. And it's just not good, or not even acceptable with the technology that we have now. Because when you stream, and maybe this is part of the problem, when you're streaming a PS3 game, it's streaming from like an actual PS3 somewhere on Sony's side on their servers. It's not on a computer or anything like that. Or maybe it is a computerized version of it, but it's pretty much just PS3 hardware, and that is not capable of much, especially on the networking side. Okay, I gotta focus up here because I'm legitimately... Medusa does so much damage if you get hit by her, so you gotta like just get a couple hits in. If they miss, they miss. Don't cry about it. But you gotta get like 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 in. Okay. Should be getting close to dead here, I'd like to think. Quick attacks are the only way to go for this. No slamming attacks, or heavy attacks, I guess. Okay, okay. Gotta be careful. There we go. Jeez. Rotate the left analog stick. Yes, brother, ma'am, sir. Got her. Jeez. And you have to freeze enemies. I don't know why they make you do this, because this can get annoying, and it chops the frame rate. Even on the PS3 version, because I have that version too, it just annihilates it. This is a problem. Yeah, I don't think you have to kill them all at the same time. You just have to freeze them and then kill them. Yeah, there's one. Yeah, for a while. That guy got out. And there's two more. Okay. That's XP at least. Like, you can't freeze all of them. Like, they get out. Okay, this is the last guy. Thank God.
Go forth in the name of Olympus.
Oh yeah, I'll go forth and destroy Olympus at some point, but you know, that's for a later game. Health. I just defeated Medusa. What hope do you chumps have possibly? Okay. Guy's getting a little overzealous. I do enjoy the Cyclone of Chaos, but like, you get that later on, but it is kind of clunky in this version. God of War 2 and onwards did a much better job with it. This game, it's usable, but again, you just have to be super careful with it because it's one of those attacks that puts you in the air and locks you in animation and can just be so deadly. That took more health than I wanted it to. There's a chest here too. They put little wood pieces here so you know where to jump. And that was very lucky. You gotta jump in between those two, and then you get the chest for it. And there's also a chest up here, which I didn't actually know was there. I just kind of saw an opening. Okay. Didn't know that one was there. Make a mental note of it. And alright, we're up here, and I know there's a save point here. So what I'm gonna do before I save is just get the hole in this wall over here. Just so I know that I've opened that. And then I have to rotate this thing twice. And then that'll get you another secret chest that's in the wall on this left side here. And then I'll end the video there because it's been a decent amount of time. I got a little bit of editing I have to do for this one though. But all in all, I'd say that was a pretty decent return video just to see how things would work. Testing out the PS2 video footage and everything. Turning it to 720p might also just help the fact make the video file a little smaller in size, but magic feather. Alright. Well, thank you for joining me, everyone. Whoever decides to watch this video, maybe it's even me in the future. In that case, thank you, future me, for watching current, present, and for you, past me. This was fun. I enjoyed going back and replaying the original God of War, and I'm sure when I get the time I'll make another episode to this and hopefully get through the whole game. But until next time, thank you for watching.